Tonight, my girlfriend and I plan to have a romantic evening, a delicious dinner, wine, candles, flowers, everything as it is supposed to be. Instead of going to a restaurant, we decided to organize everything at home, which my girlfriend preferred and I happily agreed. I wanted to surprise her, and not just bring her flowers, but give her a special gift that would remind her of me, so I went shopping and spent quite a bit of time picking out the perfect gift for her. We were still in the early stages of our relationship, going through a period of exciting flirting. Every moment with her seemed magical, and I constantly wanted to spend all my free time with her, showering her with caresses and little surprises. The anticipation of our evening together was exciting. Closer to the evening, I decided to make a small but meaningful gift, a teddy bear and a bouquet of fresh flowers. We planned to take a walk in the park, to enjoy the serene evening air, and then return home to enjoy the delicious dinner I had prepared, and bask in each other's company. Everything had been carefully planned for what I hoped would be a perfect, unforgettable evening. When we met, I handed her a gift and flowers. Her face lit up with delight, and I knew from her reaction that all my efforts were not in vain. We spent a few blissful minutes laughing and enjoying each other's presence. However, just as we were about to head out for a walk, her phone rang. She picked it up, and I waited patiently, sensing something serious by the tone of her conversation. It was her best friend, Emma, calling in tears. I could sense the anxiety in her voice, and my girlfriend's expression quickly turned serious. Once she was done talking, I gently asked what was wrong. Sobbing, Emma explained that her boyfriend had just dumped her. He had been drinking heavily and had become violent, leaving her feeling devastated and unsafe. My friend, Charlotte, looked at me apologetically and said, "I can't leave her in that state. I'm sorry, but I invited her." Her tone was full of concern and urgency. I tried to reassure her by saying, "It's okay. This isn't our last romantic dinner." Still, I couldn't escape the feeling of disappointment as I began to clear the table of all the decorations and little things I had prepared to set the mood for our evening. When Emma arrived, she was visibly upset and smelled strongly of alcohol. Charlotte immediately took charge, sitting down next to her and offering comfort, while I opted to stay in the background. I decided it was best to give them a chance to talk frankly. They discussed the situation at length, much of their discontent being directed at men in general. I made a conscious effort to stay out of their conversation, not wanting to interfere and complicate the situation at such an emotional time. Eventually, it was time to call it a night. Since we were renting a small apartment, the only sleeping space was a large fold-out couch that converted into a bed. Emma insisted that she didn't want to sleep on the edge, so she ended up lying between Charlotte and me. This arrangement only added to my growing frustration, but I kept quiet, not wanting to create unnecessary tension. Reluctantly, Emma retired to bed, ignoring the comments, and long before the door closed, As night fell and everyone began to fall asleep, I suddenly felt someone's hand stroking me ineffectually. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but when I looked more closely, I realized it was Emma. She wasn't just touching me, she was kissing me, and not in an innocent way. I froze for a moment, not knowing how to react. I tried to gently push her away, but she was persistent. Her molestations grew more and more intense, and in a moment of weakness, I gave in to temptation, even though every sensible thought was screaming at me to stop. The next morning, Emma acted as if nothing had happened. She even thanked us both for our support. Her tone was upbeat and seemed oblivious to the guilt I was struggling with. As she walked away, I couldn't shake off the weight of what had happened. The events of that night replayed over and over in my head, and I was racked with shame and confusion about what to do next. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more suspenseful stories with unexpected twists.